Sugar in the absence of fat and protein. Sugar fasting will get you shredded. You do not need to eat meat every day. Soon as people get over that fear, the sky is the limit. If you get this weight loss weapon in your back pocket, you will never, ever, ever get fat ever again, and you'll never gain weight back. My phone is blowing up off the hook now. I take at least 6 calls a day just from ex-carnivores. Those sugar fasting days are guaranteed weight loss. For a guy like yourself, like if you're trying to get really lean, you just do those fruit days until you see a new low. You take the fat and the protein out, and you tell your body, basically, you body, you're running on sugar.
Canadian people are supposed to be nice. What's going on over there? Why are you so fucking mad?
It's just my character, buddy. It's actually funny you bring that up. I remember we went down to Jackson, Wyoming, me and my cousin, to watch that the snowmobile hill climbs down there. And I'm sitting in the hot tub, and when I told all those Yankees I was Canadian, they're just like, "Oh, you must be a really nice guy," you know. Yeah.
You're like not so much, not online anyway. All right, question number 1 out of the gate here is how much protein can throw you off the sugar diet?
Okay, this is gonna be so. Right off the bat, I've done so much experimentation in the past with all the fasting. And, I've done like routines where I did like 3 meals a week for 21 days. I've done, a meal a day on 48 hours with like actual 0-calorie fast. So you do not need to eat meat every day. Soon as people get over that fear, okay, that fear of, oh, I need all this protein every day, and that muscle loss phobia, the sky is the limit to how much weight you can lose. That's when you start applying these sugar fasting days that we'll get into. And once you do that, you have full control of that weight loss. It makes it a joke. I haven't ate any meat right now for 4 days. I've done and it's nothing new. Like there's people that have done, straight fruit and juice for 100 days in a row, right? So like you just don't need it every day, and especially when you're doing like the carbs via sucrose, right? So that sugar fasting, you definitely want to cut the starch. You get the best results with the fructose, right? Everyone's scared to death of the fructose. The sucrose is basically 50-50 fructose glucose. And that's what really ramps up that, that metabolism, ramps up the liver and makes you like, that's what really cuts that body fat. A big part of that too is because you actually don't need hardly any insulin to drive that fructose into the liver to give you crazy energy. So a lot of these fat people that are coming off a bunch of low carb dieting and they're insulin resistant as all hell, they can get crazy energy right away from that fructose sugar versus the starch, like versus the pure glucose.
Does someone with insulin resistance and someone who's just, let's just say fat, because not everybody even knows if they're insulin resistant, and maybe somebody who's experiencing a little bit of like low blood sugar, should that person maybe stick to fruit and fruit juice a little bit more so than like messing around with candy or anything else?
Yeah, so like really, you still want to base it around whole foods, right? So I always like, the focus is weight loss. So I'm always trying to get people like, is the scale dropping? Is the scale dropping? So even right now, I've been talking about the sugar fasting. So my goal right now is to get people to beat that fear of, that fear of cutting the meat right out. So what I tell them to do, and I'll tell you my exact routine even for a lot of guys, but what I tell them to do right off the bat, if you get this weight loss weapon in your back pocket, you will never, ever, ever get fat ever again, and you'll never gain weight back. You want to get through as many days in a row on straight sugar calories via fruit, juice. So, some of the people, if you're losing weight like crazy, some of the wet fruit will be it'll be too diluted. There's too much fluid. And that's when you could throw in some hard hitting sugar sources. Like, you sweeten your fruit up with table sugar, add in some honey, or even take care of your teeth when you're pissing around with like the 0-fat candy or the pop because of citric acid. But you could throw a bottle of Orange Crush in at night if you have a craving. And the goal is, though, I keep telling people, because people are still trying to restrict so bad, and people think they have a calorie count in their head that they know what their maintenance is. It changes. Once you get doing this, your calorie output is ludicrously higher. Ludicrous. So I tell them, just focus on the days in the row on the sugar fasting. Get rid of all that fear. Now you have this tool. And then, like, for a guy like yourself, Because we were talking in the past about just yanking the fat right down every single day, like 7 days a week. Well, this allows you, once you're getting lean, to have these loose days. Like you could have your meat day, which would still be a low fat, clean meat day, like your regular lean meat, fruit, starch, vegetables. But then you could have your dirty day. Like you might go out with your wife and you might want to have your tomahawk, or your fucking ribeye with potatoes and butter and shit. And it's fine because you have that dirty day, you weigh yourself, you use the scale. People keep running from the damn scale. You just log the weight, and maybe that's a Friday, right? You go out for dinner with your wife, you have whatever the hell you want. Saturday, you jump on that sugar fast, and then Sunday morning you might be reset already. Where I used to promote like 0 calorie fasting, which is difficult as all hell. You throw that sugar day in there on Saturday, take a look at the scale Sunday morning. Maybe you're still a little high. Like a guy like you, probably 48 hours on the sugar will bring you right back to what you were when you had that dirty Friday. And you can even make an argument that having that dirty Friday like that's probably beneficial, hitting that. That makes really good sense, to be honest.
You coined a term recently, metabolic metabolism, and I think that that's amazing because what
Momentum.
yeah, momentum, yeah, metabolic, yeah, momentum. And what this diet is doing is it's helping to change your metabolism. It's helping to rev everything up, and a lot of people have become insulin resistant, and I think some of it might have to do with the carnivore diet, the keto diets. I myself years ago was blasting way too much fat, and I started to recognize that. I went on Thomas DeLauer's podcast. I mentioned you on Thomas DeLauer, and I was like, and this is a year and a half ago, probably. And I was like, I don't know. I think our buddy Cole, I think he might have like lost his mind. I'm like, he's talking about sugar or something, but I hadn't seen a lot of your videos yet. I hadn't watched them yet, but I heard you talking about that. But anyway, at that point, around that time is when I started to really reduce my fats, was probably about 2 or 3 years ago, to really, but then I ended up with just protein. And that's the worst fucking diet ever. That's too hard to sustain, just trying to eat lean protein.
Yeah. So, like, there's not one like people that were doing a 0 carb carnivore diet for like the last couple years. Like, my phone is blowing up off the hook now. I take at least 6 calls a day just from ex carnivores, and I can reverse their metabolic, like, momentum. We're talking about that metabolic momentum. It almost brings you back. You're trying to go back to your child self. You know how a kid could like eat almost whatever they want in moderation and never gain a pound. So when you're running the low fat diet most of the time, like the lean meat, the fruit, vegetables, some starch, and you're watching the scale, and then you're throwing in those sugar fasting days, if you go into that dirty day, okay, I don't recommend those dirty days for the fat pigs either. Obviously, keep it as clean as you can. But when you go into that dirty day, you have so much momentum with that metabolism being revved up that you're going to burn that dirty day off like crazy. Now, the super fat people, what they need to be shooting for is a goal. So say, some of the people I deal with, like, 3, 4, 5, 600 pound people, in a 365-day window, they want to have as many of those sugar days as possible, because those sugar fasting days are guaranteed weight loss. And I'm talking eating in abundance, meaning you just eat, you don't skip breakfast, no intermittent fasting. You eat as much as you want for breakfast. And most guys, a 2 meal a day routine is going to be good, breakfast, dinner. But if you're losing weight like crazy, you could throw in a lunch. Like, the women might need to throw in a lunch if they're losing weight too quick. Like, if you see that scale gapping down, get in more, right? But the fat people, the more of those straight sugar days they can do, the better. And you're losing weight like crazy without screwing up your metabolism, because a lot of, like, just going lean meat and vegetables, like, some of these people, they feel like dog shit. Their metabolism's fucked. And as soon as you go with that fruit, it's unbelievable what you can get away with once you're lean to maintain body weight, because you can trust that sugar fasting. I keep saying sugar fasting because fruit is sugar. It's all pure sugar, right? You can trust it that will get you lean, like skinny, and then you just throw in the meat. I have a girl right now that she was losing so much weight that she got into a little bit of a healing crisis, because she's been on so much medication and antibiotics and shit over the years, that you're losing so much body fat that those toxins start coming out of the fat like rapidly. And you know what I told her to do to put the brakes on the weight loss? She was losing 10 pounds a week because she was like, almost 500 pounds. I told her to start a high fat diet put the brakes on the weight loss. I told her to do a carnivore diet to stop the weight loss, to put the brakes on. And then once she, like, once she clears some of that shit out of her system, jump back on the sugar because she was doing just straight fruit and juice, just crazy weight loss, So that's how.
It's also, I was going to say, it's also real time. Sometimes when you're trying keto, and you know this, and when you're fasting and doing all these different things, it's kind of like a guess. Like, I have a good idea of what my body weight is most of the time, but I got to be honest, sometimes when I was doing some of those other diets, I would think in my head, oh, I probably weighed this in accordance to what I ate the last couple days, and I would be a little bit off each time. And I was always like, what the hell's going on here? With this diet, I've never noticed this before with any other diet. With this diet in particular, when you do it, and if you do it strict and you mainly just have fruit, go through a whole day with just fruit, the scale will most likely be less the next day, unless
Exactly.
you somehow overate fruit, which is like nearly impossible.
Like for a guy like yourself, like if you're trying to get really lean, you just do those fruit days until you see a new low, straight up. You just like that's you just keep doing those fruit days till you see a new low on the scale. And once you're looking in the mirror and you're like, holy shit, I'm getting like lean here now, then you just add in more meat days. You add in, so that's what it would look like once you get lean. You'd maybe be eating meat. You use the scale to adjust, but you just use those sugar days to control the scale perfectly. And then you could have a dirty day once in a while. Like the adherence and the flexibility is unmatched by anything. Like because as long as you have developed the balls to do those sugar days, that's why when you watched my video the other day, because I was saying to people like, if you can get through a 72-hour sugar fast minimum, and some of these fat people, they could do like 30 days, 60 days. Like it's been done. This is nothing new. Like all these juice fasting people, I've seen guys. There's one guy I seen that did 100 days on juice, lost 110 pounds. And it's
Mm.
funny because you actually end up losing more weight on the sugar than you would on a 0-calorie fast because your metabolism's so quick that you don't hit a wall on the 0-calorie fast. And it's easy. It's easy. You just keep losing. You'll just go all the way to the end. There's no stall. Like all these
70
people that stall, sit there.
72-hour fast. I mean, just to keep it really simple, 72-hour sugar fast, rather. You could literally do 72-hour sugar fast, come off of it for a day, 72-hour sugar fast, just keep running that same play over and over again. Maybe do like 10 bouts of that and see where the hell you end up at the end of that.
Yeah, and the super fat people, heck, they could do like I just did 7 days. Like I've been putting my body to the test on this, and it's not even an issue for me because I've done like 15 days with no food in the past and 7-day dry fast. I did 10 days on water and snake juice, salt, and then 5 days dry, like crazy
Shit.
stuff. So I'm already not fearful of any of the dogma with the muscle loss and all that shit because I've done such hardcore 0-calorie fasting. And you know what the funniest part is I'm running into? I got people that they're more scared of muscle loss, pounding in sugar for multiple days in a row than they were on a 0-calorie fast. Because all these guys that were all these fasting zealots, like even myself, the muscle loss is still very minimal on like a 72-hour 0-calorie fast. They're more scared to eat sugar than they are to do an actual 0-calorie fast. It's insane.
And people are more scared of sugar than they are of Ozempic. I heard you say that the other day. That was crazy.
It is, and then like so, it's I've never myself done something that's this easy to do. Like I can go, and I'm still not even hungry. Like today, this is like I'm looking in the mirror now, and I'm like that close to like the lowest I've ever been is about. I competed in a powerlifting meet at 163 one time, but I got down to 156 on a dry fast once, but I was dry. Right now, I'm about 16. Well, I'm gonna make a video today, but yeah, I'll tell. I'm 164 and it's like, but it's a joke to sustain. And the crazy part is the calorie output. Like you've been mentioning some of these mechanisms, like the nerds are starting to come out and they're starting to see the results. So they're starting to, people are talking about like fibroblast growth factor 21, but it's just the general energy too. There's so many mechanisms, but I'm a rat. I'm a guinea pig. Basically just a
Gym
rat.
rat, meathead.
Lab rat too. And I do the experiments, and then it's funny. You do the experiments first, you see the results, and then the science follows. Like God, like it always follows the guys that are doing the experiments. But my calorie count on those sugar days is ludicrous. I'm not even kidding. I was actually tracking my calories. I had to track them to make sure I was high enough because I wanted to see if I could maintain weight on like 3,300. And if I was eating a regular macro split, I could not maintain this body weight on much over about 2,400, and that's with a bunch of cardio. I was eating 3,000 plus in two meals. Like I was force feeding a bit on those two meals just because I'm not around at lunch. So I could have ate three meals easy. But I had to force feed, and I was getting in like 3,000, even 3,300, and I was still chipping down on body weight with a calorie count that was ludicrously high compared to what I'd normally be able to eat on a regular macro split on those sugar fasting days.
If somebody is feeling like hypo from, ingesting maybe too many carbs or something, I'd imagine someone's just like blasting a ton of candy and then sitting on the couch. But what are some recommendations? Because I had a few questions come in for that.
Yeah, that's a good question because a lot of people, it's going to take a little bit for their body to level out. But obviously, don't eat like pure sugar, no fat, and don't be. See, a lot of these people are still restricting. They need to get it in. They need to just get more in. If your blood sugar, and are they actually hypo, or is it just they're just so used to having a crazy high blood sugar, right? Because they might actually be like not even in a bad blood sugar range on the low end.
They might be, yeah. Well, high blood sugar and low blood sugar feel pretty much identical, so it's hard to
Yeah,
identify unless you
because
prick your finger or something.
if their blood sugar drops into the threes, it's like whatever. Just get more in. Usually that's the problem right now. And then you take the fat and the protein out, and you tell your body basically, "Fuck you, body. You're running on sugar," and that's why you do not want to restrict. You want to, and like my breakfast this morning, yesterday was a good example of a day for me. Just so I'm 106. I'm 164 pounds. I'm 5'7". And yesterday I had 1,400 calories for breakfast. I literally had a liter of orange juice. I ate a jar of strawberry jam, the whole jar. And then I had another like 200 calories of like a green smoothie. And then I went all day on that. And then for dinner last night, I had 2 cans of peaches, which are 500 calories a pop. I had 2 cans of beets, which is a little that's a little heartier. I had a can of tomatoes, and then I slugged back some more of that green smoothie. I was like at 3,000 calorie yesterday, but I forced that in. If I wouldn't have forced that meal a little bit at night, I would have been like, 2,600. I would have been just losing weight again too quick
Just taking
on that
giant
one.
shits. Taking
What's
giant
that?
shits when you eat like that.
Get the shits.
Are you taking giant shits when you eat that much
Well, in
food?
the morning, I always go in the morning. Usually in the morning, I'll slam that orange juice like pretty much clockwork, and then I'll go to the gym. I'll go to the gym and use destroy their plumbing at the gym.
When it comes to someone being, because I've heard you mention, people being cured of diabetes that did like the rice diet and some of the diets from the past. How are you helping some people with type 2 diabetes? Let's start there.
So it's like basically that, like as soon as they start doing that sugar fasting, say if they come to me and they're like, I got type 2 diabetes, and right off the bat, I'm just like, you get them off the drugs, and you always focus on the weight loss. Like you've brought it up before, the weight loss is critical. People need to get tunnel vision on weight loss. Weight loss. So I just get them on that sugar fast. That sugar fast is perfect for everything. At the start, like even your friends that are scared, if there's buddies of yours that are scared to jump on the sugar, that's how you start this thing. That sugar fast. 72 hours minimum. I don't care how lean you are, I don't care how fat you are, minimum. And the people with type 2 diabetes just go longer, 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 more days in a row, and that blood sugar control will level right out. I thought I brought it up maybe on the last video we did where I had a neighbor, a lady. She's menopausal. She's 60. She weighs like 180 pounds and should weigh like 120. Last summer, when you first got a hold of me, I did a pop fast with her just to break her fear of sugar. And she drank pop for 4 days straight. She lost not 8 or 9 pounds, and she didn't take any metformin, and her blood sugars dropped through the floor. She was pulling numbers that were like in the high fours. So high fours, we're talking right around like 80, even 78. Like just crazy stuff, because as soon as you pull the fat out and the protein out, you're giving your body starts to wake up, and then you need like a dab of insulin to pound that sugar into your system. Where this is the thing, a lot of these people are like, oh, your blood insulin levels are going to be through the roof. How are your blood insulin levels going to be through the roof and your blood sugars are rock bottom? Like, it all comes back to that. And in fact, your blood insulin levels are going to be sky high duration wise, like through the day when you're eating all the fat with the sugar, because now your body's like hammering insulin to try to get the sugar into the cell, but it has these fucking linebackers up. The fat's like these linebackers trying to fucking block it. So now your insulin, that's how you that's how you burn out your pancreas, because your body's hammering all this insulin, and the blood sugar's not dropping because the fat's in the diet. So if you just go straight sugar, like I say, you can't screw this up if you just focus on the sugar fasting days. If you're fat, the more sugar fasting days, the better. The more, and you could go 7 days, like you said, 7 days, meat day, 7 days, meat day, just for 14 days, fuck 30 days with no meat. We're not like, I don't promote long-term veganism, but you can yank, if you're really fat and you need to get weight off yesterday, you can just run straight sugar, 2 meal a day if you're a big dude, right till you're lost like a stupid amount of weight.
I had Stan Efferding on the podcast yesterday, and we talked a lot about the sugar diet. And Stan is someone that dives into a lot of the science, a lot of the literature. So he was looking up some information on some of this. But what he had to say was interesting. He was saying that your fat, your grams of fat per day, could be like as low as like 30 or 40 and can be perfectly healthy. And there's a lot of research on this. Stan is a guy that he'll research stuff and then he'll find like the absolute, expert or authority in that field, and he'll try to pull information. So he got that from a reputable source. And then same thing with the protein. He would say just, multiply your body weight, I guess, in pounds. So in kilos might be different, but it was like, I think it was down to like 0.3 or 0.2 times your body weight, which is not a lot. So like, half your body weight in protein for some people that are scared is if you're lean, I guess that wouldn't be a bad place to start, but you need to even bring it down quite a bit lower. I'm finding for myself, the lower that I bring it down, the better. I did have a guy on my YouTube channel that he wrote in and said he's been doing something like this for years. He's been working with people. He's a physician, and he said he found a sweet spot of around 60 grams of protein for most people. So there's a lot of different ways you could do this. You could do it the way you're talking about, Cole, where it sounds like you're talking about almost looking at the weekly, grams and calories, right, rather than just the daily. Because if I look at the amount of protein per week, I could say, okay, well, for myself, I don't really want to budge too much on the protein. Let's just say hypothetically, and I say I want 500 grams of protein a week, and I can take my time and I can lose the weight slower if I choose to. And even for the people that have 50, 60, 70 pounds to lose, you can kind of manage this diet whatever way you'd like. If you want to have like your original diet plan that you laid out, it was like you could have a little bit of meat at the end of every day. And if that suits you, then that's fine. But you might find that the weight loss might be a little slower.
Correct. And like you say, you look at it on a weekly basis is perfect, and that's how you can get away with more of those loose days, because trying to just go really low fat 7 days a week could, like, we're talking from a sustainability standpoint, when you could have a dirty meal, like we said, you could actually go out for dinner. And let's just make a number up. Let's say you're trying to hit low fat on the week. And let's say you're trying to go under 20 grams a day. So that's 140 grams on the week. Imagine having like no fat on like 3 of the days, and then having maybe even some salmon or a little bit of some meat that's not the chicken breast. The adherence is way better. So as soon as you break that fear of having zero protein and zero fat days, you can make it so much more sustainable. Like, that's the whole thing. I don't think our bodies evolved at all. We never needed protein every day. There's no way. It doesn't make any sense. In fact, there's people in some of these poor countries that don't get meat every day at all. Right? So, and then like even last Sunday, so the last time I ate meat was last Sunday. And I'm not going to lie to you, I put it back. Like that day I ate like 6 chicken thighs and 6 drumsticks. It was a lot of protein. And then I just went the last like 3. So this is day 4 on no meat. And I'm probably going to have chicken and maybe even some steak tonight. And I just keep doing that, and I just keep watching the scale. But once you're at your goal, and the fatter you are, you can just have less of those days. you know, and it is on the week, like you say. If and that's how you make it so sustainable, is, but you just have to beat the fear of having full days with no fat or protein. But like you said, even if you get closer to your goal, some of those days you go like, you know, fruit for breakfast, fruit for lunch, lean meat and vegetables at night or whatever. But once even that, the sustainability is not going to be like this. Like even yourself, if you had like 3 days a week on straight sugar, and you got to remember those sugar days aren't like 0 calorie. You're eating like a pile of carb, right? So it makes it so simple because now you don't have to worry about being so clean so many days. You know,
Like
it makes it
3,000 calories or something of fruit, probably for me.
easy. A guy your size with all the cardio, shit. And then I believe that that is what's going to crank the metabolism up even higher. And then even going to bed on just the vegetables and lean meat, like doing that routine you brought up, it's not going to be as good as smashing in some fructose at night. Fructose murders your hunger. Like your liver is really what dictates hunger. When your liver glycogen drops through the floors when you start getting hungry. So if you can give yourself some fructose, the hunger will be gone. I could do this for days. Like honestly, I could keep eating the way I'm eating with no protein, no fat until I was probably grossly underweight. There's
You and
no
I,
what's that?
you and I are both very active, and so people might and during rider, right? So it's like all these guys are already ripped. You've been single digit body fat before. You're single digit body fat again. I think when you started the diet, you were probably already in great shape. Same thing could be said for myself. Then people like to, throw the thing at me that I use performance enhancing drugs, which is fine. I do. I know Durian Ryder does, but you're natural. Is it important for people to be like super active? Do people need to be a fucking bodybuilder or cyclist or endurance athlete to be able to handle these carbs?
So that's a good point because for the last 9 years, my main goal has been to like find the most adhering way of eating that's going to downsize all these fat pigs, right? Like that's really my goal. So you always have to find something. Okay, this person's completely crippled or they're bedridden. They're so fat. The fattest person lying in bed, if they're drinking juice and eating wet fruit, they are going to get skinny with no exercise. None. And that comes up all the time. Absolutely none. Because they're never going to out eat like high water content fruit, vegetables, and juice. They're just not going to. And they're going to feel like they're eating in pure abundance. And the metabolism's going to get ramped up laying there, like laying there. You know, so that's the beauty of it. And as long as the super fat people, as long as they're sticking to mainly fruit and juice, they're going to lose all, you're just going to keep cutting weight, right? So that's answers that question. Like you don't got to do nothing. You could sit, I don't even have to do anything on those fruit days. Like if I just ate normal and didn't even force any calories in, I'd probably end up eating like 2,500 calories on fruit, and if I didn't do shit, I'd still be losing weight. Like that's, you just can't keep weight on. The metabolism's just too hot. You know, you
I know
don't have
that
to do
you
nothing.
I know that you do a lot of consults for people, so people make sure you guys hit up Cole for a consult if you have, especially like a circumstance, that needs like closer attention. But for type 1 diabetics, my understanding is they don't produce insulin at all, and they usually need a shot of insulin. Have you been able to help people with type 1
Yeah,
diabetes as
so
well?
it's the same thing because most type 1 diabetics, like a lot of them eat like shit, and they're taking so much slow acting insulin because they're really compensating. Sometimes the type 1's got the worst diet because they're compensating with for a really bad diet with a pile of insulin. So they're insulin resistant the same as anybody else. They're not producing insulin, but they're insulin resistant. So it's the same diet. If they want to bring their insulin way down, their insulin needs way down, they got to wake their body up with the sugar. It's exactly the same thing. So I used to use a bunch of low carb dieting in the past with those people, but the problem was it wasn't fixing the issue. It wasn't fixing the issue, just band-aid it. Just like all these people on zero carb, they have the sugars come down, but their glucose tolerance is dog shit. They can't tolerate any sugar. So as soon as you put like the type 1s, it's the same diet. You cut the fat right out, they can do exact same thing. And then some of them, you don't want to get down a real rabbit hole of type 1 diabetics. A lot of them that weren't, if you're not born with it, if it comes out of like later in life, it's usually a crazy stressor that caused it. And what happens, you develop the autoimmune issue. You end up not producing enough insulin. Your diet's still dog shit. Then what happens is your blood sugars get elevated, and the problem, you might have somebody die in your family or whatever, bad sickness. It might take a year or 2 years, and then all of a sudden the stress related when you get these people becoming type 1s down the road. There's always a story. I've talked to a million of them, and what'll happen is their blood sugars will get ramped up. They won't be checking nothing yet, right? And their blood sugars will go way up, and then they'll end up in the hospital dehydrated because they're pissing like a racehorse. Because the body will the last line of defense for a high blood sugar is you're gonna piss like a racehorse. So they'll be pissing like a racehorse. They'll get dehydrated. They'll end up in the hospital. They'll show a bunch of ketones. The doctors will put them on insulin right there. And that's it. I've reversed type 1 diabetes a lot if they got a hold of me right away, right when they got diagnosed, because all they needed to do is fix that diet, and they were still producing insulin. And you can test it even with you can test it with a right away, because if you're pulling the fat out, you can see if their blood sugars are controlling a little bit, and that's the problem with the type 1s. A lot of them should never have even become a type 1. We're actually creating type 1 diabetics. The medical system's creating type 1 diabetics daily with bad dieting advice and just throwing them on insulin because they developed an autoimmune problem from some sort of crazy life stressor. Maybe it could have been a lot of times. I've even traced it back to where two parents got a divorce and the kid developed it when they were 7 fucking years old. And they weren't the only people that really should be type 1 if you're absolutely born with it and you aren't producing insulin right out of the gate, usually. And other than that, if you caught it right away, you can actually fix the problem.
That's amazing. And how does it working for, you mentioned menopause and stuff like that too, right?
Oh man, it's nuts. So these menopause, that's when I knew. I'm like, this is it. Because all I gotta tell these menopausal women, all I gotta tell them, okay, do that sugar fast. Let's go as long as we can. Okay, we'll rev your metabolism back up. They start losing their gut like immediately, and they get out of that sugar phobia, and then their energy comes back. I get them off all the stims, and they're on the most meds. Like that demographic is the worst for can't get weight off on crazy amounts of meds, antidepressants, ADHD, all this shit you can just fix with sugar. Like we're talking about drug addiction. This is how you beat drug addiction. You have that sugar bomb at breakfast. You can get off because it's always an energy problem why these people are jumping on all these stimulants. But the menopausal women, I can take any menopausal women. It wouldn't matter if they're 50, 60, 70 years old, and I'll get them skinny as a rail. I have that much confidence in doing the full sugar days, and then you get their metabolism ramped up like when they were in grade 6. Like I'm not even kidding you. Some of these women, you know what I ask them when they get a hold of me for a phone consult? If they're like 50, 60 years old, all of them, even 30-year-old women and shit that are fat, I'll be like, how much did you weigh, assuming they had a prime? Because a lot of women nowadays, they're fat right from childhood up. They don't even have an actual prime where they were slim, let's say in high school. But some of the older ladies still grew up like back in the day where they were skinny in high school. So I'm like, how much did you weigh in grade 10? And they're like, 115 pounds. I'm like, that's our fucking goal weight. They're setting shitty goals even. They're like 180 and they're like, I want to get to 160. I'm like, are you fucking serious? You're like 5'4". You should be like 120, like 115. Like you can get them to a number. They don't even know. People are setting really weak goals with their weight loss, to be honest with you. They have no fucking idea how small they can get.
I think that's it's like a part of the fat acceptance, of like, oh, you don't really need to lose that much. You only need to lose like 20 pounds and just be a little healthier. And some of the research does point to like, yeah, if you do lose 10%, 15%, but the higher the percentage of body weight that you lose, the healthier that you get. And so I think a lot of people don't really realize that. It's like, yeah, you do get some health benefits from 10%, but you get more from 20%.
That's one of the biggest. You saying that is one of the biggest things you could say with health. Like, weight loss is health. These fucking people that are like, oh, weight loss and get lean ain't everything. You fat fucking pig. Like, that just drives to the wall. And that's why I busted zero carb carnivores so bad, because they're all in fucking stall city. Some of them have gotten some results, but it wasn't because of the fucking diet. They just lost some weight. And now they're stalled out. And then they're still fat, and now they're pulling these crazy bad blood markers. They got no fucking energy. And a lot of them, they had decent metabolic momentum going into the diet. So they got some weight loss, and now they've been stalled for like 2 years, some of them, you
Mm.
know? And if they just, a lot of them could have got that result counting calories and fucking just cutting at McDonald's. Like, let's get real. Like, this will take you to the end. Like, I've always been shooting for that goal. How can I get people skinny with 100% maintenance? Like, 100% adherence, no rebound. Like, weight loss, not gaining weight back is more important than the weight loss. It's more, because a lot of these people be like, I lost this much weight on fasting, 0 calorie or on 0 carb. And then they're like, I lost this last year. And I'm like, what do you weigh now? And they're like, oh, I'm the same fucking weight as when I started. Well, fuck, it didn't do shit. That's the problem. People are in fucking denial in that whole carnivore community. Now, it just took a few years for the results to really show up. How fucking much, especially the menopausal women, just fucks them right up. Their thyroid function's fucked.
Mm.
And all as it's turning into a fat acceptance movement itself, because nobody even wants to talk about the weight loss results. You even read some of the comments on these channels, and it's all like they're all cooking channels. No one's talking about the weight loss, which is why they showed up in the first place to try to lose weight, but they're in denial because it's, you get into that politics side of shit and you're not actually chasing fucking results.
My brother's a fat fucking pig, and he's five. He's 5'6". He's a little shorter than you, but he weighs a little bit more than I do. So we need to fix him up. But he's in too. He's working on the sugar diet, and he actually texted me today, and he's like, I can't believe how many people are jumping ship. He's like, this is crazy. He's like, so many people in such a short period of time are flocking to this. I think so much of it has to do with you, which I think is awesome, because I know some people have been promoting things like this. There's people that have been doing carb cycling, and there's people trying to take credit for this or that. And there's Durian Ryder, who we do have to tip our hat to, and go ahead and follow him on YouTube. He's a legend. I'm talking to him actually later today to get more content on the sugar diet. But, I think that you really drew attention to it by I think sometimes when you give something a name, I think it's important. You and I both can agree, like the sugar diet is kind of a dumb name a little bit, but it's like sugar diet, fruit diet. Like if you call it fruit diet, no one would care.
Yeah.
So you gotta put some spice on it. So sugar diet's actually like a great name to get people attracted to it, to get people to at least look at it. And now that people are looking at it, they're like, this does seem really weird. Seems really strange. But imagine if you can diet and lose weight and still have a lot of fucking energy to do the things that you love. Normally, that's not possible. And what I'm exploring, I want to see if I can get down to like 5 or 6% body fat and just stay there. Will I be able to do that? I don't know. That's what I'm working on. It was 210 pounds today, and I'm heading to Shred City.
Well, I'll tell you, even like when I say sugar fasting, like even that term, it's triggering, because it's like, now it's just, it really has it defines it as pure sugar for multiple days in a row, right? But I'll tell you, anybody, see, people keep worrying about muscle loss and shit. And anybody, like, probably some people that follow you, I'm getting a lot of people getting a hold of me that are on a little bit of PEDs and TRT and shit. Those people need to worry about muscle loss. They can get even more aggressive, right? They're the ones worrying the most. I'm like, shit, I'm fucking 100% lifetime natural, and I'm going 4 fucking days, 5 days on no fucking meat at all, like straight sugar. These guys could get fucking stupid shredded with insane energy if they can just incorporate those sugar fasting days into this crazy low fat diet, right? And like your brother,
I wouldn't want to be around a Cole Robinson that's on performance enhancing drugs. That would be too much for the world to take on.
Well, yeah. Even like your brother, like, how much taller are you than him?
He's like 5'6".
Yeah, like if you get down
like
to
a foot
200,
taller.
like, yeah, if you get down to 200, your brother should be like fucking like 150. You don't know.
Right. I know.
Oh, but you could be like easily one. Like, how tall are you?
I'm around 6 feet tall.
Yeah, so man, your brother, if you're 200, your brother could easily be 180, because let's say you take me, like if I'm 160 lean at about, at 160, I'll probably be tapping like 8, maybe sub 7% body fat on a DEXA scan, and I can hold that pretty easy, you know. But like these guys, like anybody that's on a little bit of PEDs, they could probably hold on to 6%, 5%, and still hold a pile of muscle. And like, so your brother, I could see him being very lean at a weight that's probably 15 to 20 pounds higher than my body weight because I got an inch on him for height, right? So he get to 180 easy, is what I'm saying. That's like that's his first goal. I get to fucking 180, Chris. You know what I mean? Like fucking right. Like, and then he'll feel so good though because even he's had some hip. Hasn't he had a hip replacement?
He's had, yeah, 2 hip replacements. He has inflammation. Body just doesn't feel good. He's in a lot of pain and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lighter you can get, the better. Like people gotta, you know, even just getting light. Most people can be so much lighter, right? And yeah, if he got down to 180, he'd feel like $1,000,000. Like he'd be kicking ass and taking fucking names, right? Like he'd be jacked. Like he
People need to, I like what you said the other day. People need to stop trying to beat their fat fucking friend on the bench press and start doing a pull up competition instead.
Well, yeah, because most of these guys, I see it all the time in the gym. Everyone's chasing those big 3 compounds all the time: deadlift, bench, squat. They're all fat guy lifts. Like, let's get real. Actually, the deadlift's probably the one that leaner guys could pull pretty good still because the way,
Right.
you know, the way the movement pattern is. But bench pressing, fuck. If I put on fucking 20 pounds of fat and no extra muscle, my 1 rep max at a lean body weight would become my 10 rep max with 20 extra pounds on me. Like that's how much. But then I couldn't do pull-ups for shit, right? Like I couldn't throw my body through space. Obviously, even in the water, swimming, fuck, I'm way faster because I'm just lighter. I can just fly through the water quicker. You know, if you want to run, all these sports you got to be light. Like if you get Harley on here, like Durian Ryder, obviously he's a vegan. I don't promote long-term veganism. I use the sugar only as a tool. But even him, he loves his lifestyle, and you know, you got to be light to be a good cyclist. It's not like being on a stationary bike at the fucking gym. You know, like even yourself, you know, you're using the Peloton bike, but if you had to climb hills
Yep.
in a real race, your body weight matters. That's why the cyclists want to be so fucking small up top and still have a set of legs so they can kick ass up the hills.
Yeah. I was thinking about actually just getting just like a regular shit bike, like a little beach cruiser, and then just take it. There's not many hills around here, but there's like overpasses. And I was thinking about like taking it up over the overpasses. I would probably kick my ass because, yeah, I do have some body weight on me.
Yeah, the weight matters for sure. The lighter you get, you know, and like almost every sport you want to be light, you know, and even, yeah. So that's now if people like you know, like that's the thing. If people wanted to do a vegan diet, if they know how to mix and match the proteins and shit, and you know, you're gonna have to take some supplementation, go ahead. But like, I'll never promote a long-term vegan diet because even out in nature where I live, I wouldn't be eating like that. You're always going to be eating some lean meat in nature. Like, but it doesn't matter, whatever gets the results. But that's why a lot of people are gravitating towards me because a lot of this stuff got put under a vegan umbrella, even like the juice fasting and the fruit cleanses and all that shit. It kind of got put under a vegan umbrella the last, 15, 20 years. And then when that zero carb movement started, it kind of just buried all these really good weight loss tactics because they were all just under this vegan umbrella. Where when I come along, I just want fucking results. I want the best results I can get. And you got to use the tools you have, and as far as going multiple days on fruit, like it's perfect. It's so easy. Like your brother, if he can get through like a 3-4 day like sugar fast and then bounce back into, he can still have his fucking In-N-Out burger, just don't have it so often. And then once he's ripped, he can play. Like you might have when you're lean, like if you had probably 2 sugar days a week, maybe one dirty day, and maybe the other days were clean, just low fat, protein, carb. You know what I mean? Like you'll dial it in to where it's like this is a joke to sustain.
The
As
weird
long
thing
as
is, the weird thing is, with the sweetness of the diet, I don't feel like I have any cravings for really anything. I mean, I
yeah.
guess I could always go for like a slice of pizza, but I feel, I don't even feel like there's any urge or cravings. Like they feel like they're dead for me.
That's because when the cravings start occurring, when you're pulling the carbs and such, it's because your body wants sugar, and no one can. People just can't fucking get that through their head. Like those canned peaches with the syrup, it doesn't matter how hungry I am going into dinner. If I'm doing like a 2 meal a day split, and I tell people, we're talking about the blood sugar control. It's getting really hungry before dinner is a good thing. It's like telling a kid, wait till fucking dinner. So if you have a 2 meal a day split and you're having that huge sugar bomb at breakfast, like say, I was going to say to you too, because I think you showed me kind of what you were having. Don't fucking do fasted fucking biking in the morning. Okay. You want to smash sugar right when you get up.
Yep.
Okay, don't do any of that fucking shit. Trust me, your performance will be so much fucking better and your output will be so much higher that it's almost like that breakfast is like free calories. It's like free. So don't do no fasted fucking carb. Get sugar in hard and like for you like 1,000 cal. And if it feels like too much volume with too much fruit, smash strawberry jam, honey, like smash it at breakfast. Like if you smash it at breakfast, you'll be blown away. And then at night, you could have lunch too. You, if you're getting like lean, you throw lunch in. But for people, I like the 2 meal a day split and brings up the teeth health bullshit too. 2 fucking meal a day. You know what's really funny? The fat pigs are still eating more sugar than I'm eating. Just they're eating 3,000 calories of fucking fat with it. No one even brings up the tooth health problem. Like, but anyway, going into dinner, it's good to get the hunger hormones ramped up. And your metabolism's running hot like at 3 p.m., 4 p.m. if you haven't eaten nothing since breakfast. So it works perfect for these super fat pigs because you get those hunger hormones ramped up and then you're putting the hunger fire out at dinner. And I'll tell you, like those canned peaches or some sort of a fruit drenched with sugar, like honey and shit, you put the hunger out immediately. Like I have to, those canned peaches I have are like 500 calories each. I'll have two of those every like and like and I'll drink the syrup obviously, and hunger's fucking gone. I don't give a fuck how hungry you are. It's gone. That's 1,000 calories of sugar. Like nothing would do that. You know, that's why starch. See, you'll get Harley on here. That's one thing that I don't agree with him on. And I know for a fact when I'm dealing with super fat people that, like you said, that are completely sedentary, they need to avoid the fucking starch. Straight up. When he coaches people, he'll like, you know, it's an environmental thing. You know, he lives in a certain place, like you live in a certain place that's hot. Where I live is a fucking ice cube in the winter, right? And if you're really fat, like the people I deal with, they like you can't get them on a bike. They're just gonna crush the fucking bike for one. You know, they can't even walk. So the starch does not get the weight loss, like the not even close. So you know, people don't fuck with a bunch of starch until you're lean. They just need to be on the sucrose. The sucrose is what makes you melt. And then fuck with the starch. Like on that meat day you'd have, like say you have, you know, you do those sugar days on the sucrose sugar, and then you jump on that meat day, then throw some starch in there. Or you go out again like for a special occasion, then have your fucking tomahawk and your potatoes and you know what I mean? Like throw the starch in, not on those those straight pure sugar days. And then because that's one thing, like Harley will say he eats a lot of starch at night, but it stalls you out. I know for a fact. I do the experiments. The fat people will stall on the starch. As soon as I tell them cut the fucking starch, weight drops like a motherfucker, and then they can just jump on the starch. You know, once they're in shape, right? He still lives a lifestyle where he's on a bike all day and shit. And you know, when he coaches people, he gets them biking and you know he's not taking in it like somebody's 500-600 pounds, right? So the starch, nothing wrong with it. It's not going to fuck your metabolism up or anything like that. But you don't fuck with starch if you're a super fat pig until you're getting down there is going to be optimal.
What about like seasonal, regional, and circadian rhythm, stuff like that? Sunlight, like you hear some people say, like it depends on like you know where you're from. You know, if you're from Africa and you're born in the sun, maybe you handle fruit better. Like you feel like that matters at all with like the people that you're helping, or is that like fairly irrelevant because people are so fat?
Yeah, I've helped so many people that and we got so much selection with the food choices, like with the fruit and the vegetables and shit. If something bothers somebody, just eat something different. Like how many people react badly to grapes or cantaloupe or watermelon? Or
Mm-hmm.
no one reacts badly to it's funny, the one that everyone's scared shitless of the worst is the one that no one reacts negatively to is fucking table sugar. You know, and so like I've helped so many people of different nationality races and shit that the fruit always works. You can always eat fruit. No one's like you can drink juice. Like there's just never an issue. If something actually at the start if something bugs them a bit, it's because they've been on a zero carb fucking diet too long, and they just keep going. Microdose some certain things, and maybe be careful of like high cellulose fiber fruits. Like don't like just pound back a bag of apples don't just pound back maybe stupid amounts of unripe pears. You know, the stuff that if you turn it into a smoothie, it'll blend up nice, right? And that actually even is a good thing for the sugar fasting days. Just go to the store and buy like smoothies right off the fucking shelf. And that was another thing I'm getting on a rant here, but you know, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, that, you know, the Fat, Sick,
Yeah.
and Nearly Dead documentary? That's where fucking Joe Cross, he didn't understand the real mechanism of the message that he was getting out there because he was focusing on produce and juicing and it had some traction for a bit, but there's no adherence because like that fat truck driver that he's trying to help, like the guy, was he gonna be juicing fucking 2 cubic meters of produce in his fucking sleeper of his fucking truck, you know?
Right.
Where like if I was coaching that same guy now, I'm like, it's like, hey, fucking Fat Bob. It's like all you need to do is when you go, just go get a smoothie, jugs of juice and shit. You know, it can be right off the shelf. I want to get that point across because some people get way too like orthorexic. Oh, it's got to be fresh produce and shit. It's the fucking sugar that's getting the weight off. Just go get the smoothies right off the shelf. Don't worry about all the fucking dumb shit with all the like. You know, there's all that little detail bullshit with the plastics and fuck. Just get lean. Like you said, just lose the fucking weight. You can get skinny and then, you know, then clean things up and have better quality stuff. But like the juice right off the shelf is fucking perfect. You just go buy it. It's a, you know, it's a joke.
And when it comes to omega 3s and all that other kind of stuff, I mean, your diet, especially the way that you've refined it to where someone could have salmon or they could have fish or and then obviously if somebody wants to supplement something, they can just like go for it. Like if you supplement and you have 3 or 6 fish oil capsules in a day, it's not going to like throw your diet off so bad that you really need to worry about it. But are you seeing like that people even need that, or like I don't know,
The,
what's your take on some of
honestly,
that?
the fat people don't need nothing. Like, but yeah, but like I say, the way,
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
burning fat off your body. You're using fat for fuel off your body rather than dietary fat. And
it's
like,
actually
I don't know if
hilarious.
anyone knows the nutritional impact of the fat that's off your body versus the fat that you consume, but it's got to be something.
Yeah, which is actually interesting because people that are just eating straight fucking tomahawks and ribeyes, the fat they're eating there is exact same as what's on your gut. Like, is there something unhealthy about your fucking gut fat? It makes no sense. It's crazy. And like the way I've experimented now, like I just tighten this thing up better and better and better the last like 5 6 weeks with it was that block sugar fasting that changed it. So now, like, you know, when we're talking the last one we did, we're talking about like crazy low fat every day. When you start doing those sugar fasting days, then it's fine. If you have your meat day, like you said, have some fish and you can take it's fine. You just control the scale with the sugar days. So you can get quite loose on those days as long and then you just have a sugar day for a reset and you don't have to like restrict on those sugar days. You just get it in. You know, and so you can eat whatever the fuck you want. Essentially, like that's what I've always been looking for. How can I get people a routine that they can still eat whatever they fucking want as long as they know how to time things properly to keep the weight off. And you do it with those sugar fasting days. That's it. That's what this has come to. Those sugar fasting days. You know, and it's funny because I wasn't talking about this on my YouTube channel. I still promoting lots of low carb stuff, but I've had women do juice and fruit in the past, like in 2019. You know, in the background, giving them some coaching, like, hey, let's fuck, because some of them were vegan women. And I'm like, well, fuck, let's just do juice and fruit then, because you know what they're eating to be a fat vegan woman? Bunch of fucking fatty shit, crazy
Right.
amounts of nuts and shit that's just. And so I'm like, cut all the fat out. I already knew this shit like way back with experiments, but you know, I wasn't pumping it on my channel because then it's like, well, fuck, he's promoting sugar, fucking, you know what I mean? Didn't have the balls back then to just say fuck it.
Things like cereal, things like sourdough bread, you know, if you find them and they're super low in fat, they might be okay for you to play around with a little bit, but it's just going to slow down your progress, and it's a starch, right?
Yeah, so and like you say, so now, you know, if you're eating like very similar every day where you're trying to go low fat every day, I'd be like, okay, avoid that. But now, if you're like, again, if you always have those sugar days, that weight loss weapon in your back pocket, then yeah, on a clean day, like say you're going lean meat, vegetables, has like some sourdough bread, you're just, all it comes back to, people need to fucking weigh themselves. And
Scale.
yes, if and the thing is, I'm telling people a strategy. that gives them 100% control of that fucking scale, and something that has extremely high adherence. Because if they eat a bunch of sourdough bread one day and a bunch of, maybe they have a dirty day when there's bread there, let's talk fuck sourdough bread. Let's talk pizza. Something that's actually going to be bad. So if they ate like a fucking whole pizza and their weight's up, like say if they ate a whole pizza Friday night, weight's up Saturday morning, sugar day. Weight's still up Sunday morning, sugar day. Weight's down Monday morning. And especially if they're super fat, they could easily go like 2 full days on the sugar to have the reset from a fucking pizza. And your metabolism's running so hot that when you go into that day where you had that pizza, you're not going to just blow up because you actually have crazy glucose tolerance, which Harley will probably bring up. Like, that was that Harold Hemsworth basically had that glucose tolerance. He invented the glucose tolerance test like in 1900, right? And like you brought up Walter Kempner, and it's funny because Kempner was reversing everything to do with bad blood sugar, obesity, kidney disease, heart disease, and he would actually even get people to really pull back even on the rice. Like if they had really bad kidney problems, he would even bring the rice down. They'd be on straight table sugar and fucking juice. So that just goes to show that and there's nothing wrong, like I say, nothing wrong with the starch. But if you're not at your goal weight, avoid it until you get fucking ripped. And then, like, if you want performance and you want to really ramp up your performance, then maybe throw some starch in and load up on a little more starch the day before. If you got like a bike race or some sort of a race, play. But the goal is get lean and then play. Don't fuck around on the way down. Like, get lean, get to where, okay, I fucking like my body now, and then fucking play. But until then, the more of those sugar days you can accumulate in a window of, say, 100 days. If you're super fat, you should have if you're super fat, you should have like 90 fucking days sugar. 100 days. 100 days if they really want to really go for it, right? 100 days on fruit. 100 days on fucking fruit and smoothies and juice and shit. And just get the weight off and then fuck around. Get lean and then you could recomp. And a lot of these people haven't built any muscle over their stock form anyway. So like if you lost a pound of muscle to lose fucking 50 pounds of fat, who gives a shit? Like I brought that up to this one lady. Like even if you had 20 pounds of fat to lose and you're struggling and you lost a pound of muscle and you're a fucking bikini competitor, to lose 20 pounds of fat to be tight at a loss of 1 pound of muscle, who fucking cares? Like it's
Right.
it's crazy.
I think to your point about Kepner, from what I heard, he had to dilute the diet with sugar and juice
That's right.
to dilute it more from protein.
That's
And I
right.
think he was suggesting like 2 or 3% of your calories coming from protein, which is
He was bringing.
wild. But he was helping with
It's
heart
funny.
disease, diabetes.
And it's funny you bring that up because I got people, what about your kidneys? I'm like, what the fuck? This guy's reversing kidney disease with pure sugar. Like, there's no doubt about it. These guys can make up any bullshit story they want, but if you're pounding a lot of fucking meat, especially in one sitting, which I've done like crazy shit with fucking binge eating experiments, you can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel your fuck. You'll have some kidney pain. Like, you can blatantly feel it. Like you can, soon as you can get away from that, like hitting the protein way, bring the protein down, keeping the carbs sky high, and having those full on sugar days. Like almost every protocol for the last 100 years is based in sugar. All of it. That master cleanse, which is just syrup, it's straight sugar. It's the master cleanse would be like the lemonade diet, right? And there's people who would even do, but they didn't understand the mechanism. They think there's something magic with the lemonade and the syrup. It's just fucking sugar. There's your fruit cleanses, which is, it's just fucking sugar. But the problem is people would come off that and they wouldn't apply it on like in these tight windows we're talking about here. They wouldn't just keep doing it to keep the maintenance up. And then you got your juice fasting. Like I've seen, there's fucking been crazy stuff where people went 300 days on straight juice. I've seen women lose 60 pounds in 60 days on juice, and they were still juicing. Could you imagine if they knew just to get the juice off the shelf? These are some pretty disciplined people that are buying produce, and that's expensive too. So a lot of people that get a hold of me for help, they're fucking poor. So like, you don't need any of this fucking shit. You just need sugar, get ripped, fuck around, and that's as easy as it gets.
All right, Cole, take us on out of here with your tagline at the end of your episodes that you do.
Oh, which one? Sugar.
Tell people where to find you and take us out like you normally do at the end of your videos.
So you subscribe to both my YouTube channels just in case my fucking main channel gets zapped again, and Mark and his friend Jorge at YouTube got to fucking get it back for me. And then Cole Robinson Weight Loss is my backup channel. Instagram, you can get a hold of me if you want to do some coaching. I just do phone consults. I take donations. And also Facebook, Cole Robinson. And until next time, sugar in the absence of fat and protein. Sugar fasting will get you fucking shredded.
There we go. Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch you guys later. Bye.